I get confused by quite simple things, as we've just seen. I find things like bathrooms really confusing. So, for example, like hand dryers, they sort of annoy me because, so you've either got like the little white box that you put your hands under, and it's like being breathed on by an asthmatic. You take your hands out, they're wetter than they went under. And then someone was like, okay, scratch that, let's just stick a fucking jet engine on the wall. And you put your hands under and it just strips the flesh from your bones. And then a man came along, a man said, no, I'm going to fix this. A man who was a titan, a god amongst men, called James Dyson. And he said, you know what, I'm not happy with just hoovers. If it sucks or blows, I want my name on it. And so now they make hoovers, they make hand dryers, they make fans. I'm still waiting on the blowjob robot. And so they make these really cool things, sort of like a big sort of U-shaped thing. You sort of dip your hands in. They're really cool. I do think it looks like you're always trying to get head off a robot though. And they're really good. I think they're really cool. The only problem is that a lot of companies have taken that design and they've ripped it off. And they've sort of made a few mistakes in the sense that some of them are a little bit small, and so if you've got sort of like medium to large size hands like I do, it means you're there trying to draw your hands with the precision of the fucking lunar landing. Because you know if you touch the plastic you're going to have to go wash your hands again. And you're there taking so much care. My hands were dry before I even reached the dryer. And the other one is when the sensor doesn't work. So you'll put... Sorry, I'm dying. I was about to say in the good way, not in the good way. So you put your hands in, it won't start, you pull them out and then it'll start, so you put your hand in, it pushes the water up, then you get a wet wrist, you take your hand out, it stops, you put it in, it doesn't start, again you take your hand out, it starts, you put it in, it goes further up your arm, you do the same thing, you go further. I was there for half an hour and ended up with a wet face. But the biggest problem I've found with them is that, so gentlemen in the room, you'll know that sometimes if you go into the bathroom, if they've got particularly dodgy taps, especially the push ones, and they come out a bit too forceful, you might get a bit of water down your front and it looks like you wet yourself. And of course, it's definitely from the taps. And so what most men in that situation will do is they'll go and they'll just sort of like stand near the hand dryer and they'll press it. And they'll sort of pretend to dry their hands and they'll sort of like waft a little bit of air down, just trying to dry themselves off. It's a standard practice. Anyone shaking their head is a liar. But you can't do that with the U-shaped ones. I was thinking about it, because they're sort of like that, we'd have to just kind of maybe like sort of straddle it like that, like a big plastic nappy, so then the cross jets it dry. It works really well, but it is hard to get out of if someone walks in the room. I did try it out and someone did walk in on me and they weren't very happy to see me there. They were more upset about the fact it was the women's bathrooms, but yeah. Urinals as well. I find urinals really weird, because essentially what you're doing at a urinal is you're standing shoulder to shoulder with several other men that you've, never met, never spoken to, and will probably never ever see again in your life. And you expose yourself. And that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine that... Papa, can you hear? Fucking hell. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah. So it's perfectly fine to walk up to urinal and stand next to people you've never known and expose yourself. I do it one time in West Quay. And I'm not allowed in the early learning centre anymore. I am joking, I've never done that in the early learning centre. It was a Build-A-Bear workshop. They said the bear needed stuffing, I got confused. I'm not allowed in West Quay. I was actually at a football game about a month or so ago, and I was using a urinal, and I sort of clocked on or realised that the person sitting next to me was actually like a young boy, like a child. And it occurred to me that in no other circumstance on earth would me being this exposed, this close to a child be socially acceptable. And it's a terrible thought standing there, knowing that the only thing between you and a criminal record is a 90-degree angle. I'll leave you one last story, and that was I was in the Students' Union building a little while ago, and I went in, and all the cubicles were free. And I decided to go in the end cubicle, which is the disabled cubicle. And I went in there because there's lots of space now, like stretch my legs, do a little dance before I do my business. And so I was halfway through, I do my business, not dancing. And I got this knock at the door, and this bloke was like, are you going to be much longer in there, mate? And I was like, no, not too much longer. And I was like, I think an impatient prick, you can go in any of the cubicles. And then I sort of clocked on that the reason he's knocking to come in this one is probably because he's actually a disabled person. And I started panicking because I realised, I'm holding up this poor guy who needs to come in here, and I have no business being in here. I mean, I was doing business in there, but I had no business being in there. And I was sort of panicking a little bit, so I finished off, I took my tap shoes off, and I got my clothes back on, and I went and opened the door, and sure enough, there's this guy there in a wheelchair, and I panicked and went, I'm really sorry, mate, after you, yeah. And I put on a limp, and it was the worst thing. It was the worst thing I've ever done, because now whenever I see him around campus, I've got to put the fucking limp on again. I'll see him and be like, oh, right, mate, how are you doing? He didn't notice I switched legs. But, my girlfriend would be like, what the fuck are you doing, you pleb? And I was like, oh, it's just my leg, I just play. I'm joking, of course, I don't have a girlfriend. No, I did have a girlfriend, but unfortunately we broke up a month or so ago because she turned to me and said, yeah, we had a pretty bad argument. She turned to me and said, Ciaran, you're always messing around, you never take anything seriously. I said, give me one example of me messing around and not taking things seriously. And she said, I once found you stuck in a hand dryer in a women's bathroom. Thank you very much for making it.